Not long ago, I went to Mexico for the World Camp. Have you heard of Mexico World Camp? How many of you have actually been there? Raise your hand. It was wonderful, right? God truly have worked. My wife, she was a short-term missionary in Mexico City many years ago. And of course, I married her in the year 2005, November, and we came to America. And because it's her first time being in America, I was, buying McDonald's and Burger Kings, not the expensive ones, but, the cheaper ones. And then one time I bought her Taco Bell, and I told her, "You want some Mexican food?" She said, "Really? I can have Mexican food here?" "Of course, you can eat Mexican food." "Okay, I want to go." And I took her to Taco Bell. And, okay, here it is, the taco. And she was very disappointed. "This is not Mexican food." And I told her, "This is Mexican food." They even use Spanish in the commercial. "Yo quiero Taco Bell," right? So this is Mexican food. "What are you talking about?" And she said, "No, this is not Mexican food." "Oh, I want you to taste first and then tell me." I really, really like Taco Bell. In hamburgers and things like that, if you eat, somehow it's too greasy, right? It's not that comfortable to your stomach. But hot, like fire, sauce. What kind of sauce do you eat? Medium, hot, fire. I use 3 fire in one taco. So I really love Taco Bell. And then my wife told me, "This is not taco." "Well, this is taco." This one named it taco, right? "How can it not be taco? You're weird." And she said, "No, the taco that I have tasted in Mexico City is much, much better. Much better. It's so good that Taco Bell is not Mexican food." And I didn't trust her. When you come to Tacoma Church, when you exit from the highway, you make a right turn, and there's casino. And then there's Mexican food restaurant, and then church. So once in a while, somehow I got to find out that there was a Mexican restaurant, so I wanted to try something new. So I went there, and yes, it was different from Taco Bell. Yeah, it was really, really good, So I told my wife, "I found the perfect place for you." "What is it?" "I found a true Mexican restaurant. And she said, "Really?" "Yes." "Where is it?" "Next to our house." "So I'll take you there." "Fine." And then we walked about 30 seconds. And then there was a Mexican restaurant. So we went in, and she started to order some food. And while we were eating, she told me, "This is not Mexican food. Better than Taco Bell, but not the true Mexican food." And I was really upset. "You better stop saying that, otherwise I won't buy you anything anymore," right? This is Mexican food. Look around you, and look around the people who eat this food. Mexicans. This is Mexican food. And she was like, "No, it's not. I mean, it is kind of similar and very close to it. Much better than Taco Bell, but not the real Mexican food." And then I was despising her, and I was, saying, "Don't eat." And then she said, "No, I'm going to eat because I'm hungry," and things like that. And she was continually telling me, "Oh, the food I had in Mexico is really, really good. The food I had in the tacos that I had in Mexico is really, really good." And I was continually saying, "Be quiet. Be quiet." I don't care. Whenever she talked about Mexican food, she was drooling. Just imagining. But every time I hear that, it had no effect whatsoever onto me. Why? Because I didn't taste it, right? I don't know how they taste like. Well, I had been upgraded from Taco Bell to that Mexican restaurant. Now, I no longer go to Taco Bell. But, I thought that was it for me. I thought this is as good as it gets for Mexican food. But this time, end of May, I went to Monterrey, Mexico. And when I went there, preparing for the World Camp, there's a missionary in Mexico City. He came, and he was saying, "What do you want to eat?" And I was thinking, what do they have here? What do they have here? Well, Monterey, the city Monterey is more like America. You know, they have it's like America, same as America. So I was thinking maybe McDonald's or Burger King. But he suddenly said, what, you want some taco? Taco? Yeah, maybe I should try some taco because my wife continually told me that the tacos in Mexico is really, really good. So, yeah, Pastor, can you buy me a taco? My wife always bragged about it. Let me taste how they're like. And the missionary took me to a taco place. You know, I went there. It's not formal restaurant. It's just, you know, like a vending machine, not like a vendor or something like that. They have smokes all around. Like, you know, it's cloudy if you go into a Mexican restaurant. Who are you? It's very cloudy. And all the smells will get onto your clothes. You know, you can't eat it secretly. Because after you eat it, everyone can smell you. You know? Oh, I know what you have for lunch. Oh, what is it? Taco. How do you know? Yeah. I think they can, the smells are really strong that they can even tell the name of the restaurant you came from. But, you know, the food there is not like, you know, formal. You know what I mean, right? With a clean environment and with, you know, like, you know, clean facilities and things like that. But, you know, when they were serving the food, it was a bit different than what I had before. You know, taco, you can imagine what tacos look like, right? But the ones they gave us is like pure meat and like tortillas and things like that. And weird sauce, green sauce. And I thought those are guacamole, but after I had 2 spoons of it, I was burning with fire. It was actually pepper sauce, green pepper sauce. Anyway, after I had 2 bites of the taco in Mexico, my eyes were open. This is taco, you know? This is what my wife was talking about. Wow! You know, I no longer have the tacos now in America. Why? Because I tasted the real taco. You know, amongst the meat that the restaurant sometimes they use the cow tongue. Disgusting, right? Cow tongue. You know, you only see that in the movie, right? But, you know, when you go to the restaurant, you know, there's a lot of pork, beef, and if you kill a cow, about 5 kilograms worth of meat from that cow on specific portion is called arrachera. What is it? Arrachera. Arrachera, in Korean, if you pronounce it, and we also have a word called arrachera in Korean, and that means, you know, you should know it. So arrachera is really, really smooth and really, really good. Amongst all the meats, you go to the cook and you ask for special meat, and then the cook goes, and he digs underneath, and then he pulls out one red meat, and that is tongue, cow tongue. And what they do, they slice it really thin, and I don't know whether they cook it or not, but yeah, they cook it, yeah. Oh, raw. They cook it with some special sauce, and then you eat it with tortilla. I didn't have it. But one of the friends that went to Mexico with me, he had tasted that taco. And he said, those are really, really smooth. It melts in your mouth. And another meat in Mexico, have a lot of lunch today, okay? So you poke out cow's eye, and inner part of the cow's eye, there's smooth muscles that holds the eye. So they carve that out, and they blend it in with other meats, and then they use that for the taco. And it's really, really good. So I came back from Monterey, told my wife, yes, now I know what you're talking about. Now I know what you're talking about. What do you mean? I had tasted the true taco from Monterrey, Mexico. It was really, really good. And she told me, no, the taco in Mexico City. That's the real one, not the Monterey. And I was thinking, how much more taco do I have to eat to finally get the taste my wife is talking about? But now I trust my wife. Even though I haven't tasted the taco from Mexico City, I now trust my wife that such taste exists. Even though I haven't tasted it, such taste exists. Folks, from time to time, when I went to Korea as a missionary school student, when you enter into the missionary school, the first thing you do is fast for 1 week and read the Bible only. Oh, fasting? I love fasting. I need to be on a diet. Do I look like a person who needs a diet? No, right? I hate fasting. I need to eat maybe 6 times a day. But, when I went there, all you can do is read Bible and drink barley tea, cold barley tea, and eat salt a little bit. Because people need salt, right, on their body, sodium. So, as I was reading the Bible, first meal, second meal, third meal, it was fine, even though your stomach is playing music, especially when you're around with 20 other people who are fasting with you. This is like whole orchestra is, playing, right? So, the first day was fine. But from second day, it was really, really difficult. Not only in your flesh, every time I had to go to the restroom, I would, lean on the wall. Your lips would be all dried and, you'll be peeling off. You'll be and it was only us who were fasting. Other people who were living at the church, they were like jumping around, walking around, eating food. We're like, we envy you, right? And then you can smell the food from miles away. At that time, as I was reading the Bible, my eyes are reading the words, but my mind are somewhere else. That French fries that I left behind 3 years ago. Because I was so full, I couldn't eat those French fries, so I left it, put it in the trash. I was very foolish. That burger that I only took a bite and had to, throw in the trash. I was really, really foolish. And then you drew. And you regret and you repent about food when you fast for a day, okay? So when you see anyone who's really picky about food and when you see anyone who's really not eating food so well, then, don't try to force them to eat, but have them fast for about 1 day. Then they will know how to appreciate food. So anyway, at those times, my body started to crave those things. French fries, burger, and rice, and kimchi soup. Kimchi jjigae? Huh? You know what that is, right? Yeah, the most famous and most delicious soup in the world, right? Yeah, you can live your life only with that soup. It has all the ingredients you need in there, right? So anyway, I would start to crave those things that I have eaten before. But what I have found strangely is that I didn't crave for the ones I had not eaten. Do you not understand what I'm saying? You don't understand what I'm saying? Dear God. Okay, when I was fasting, my body was starting to crave for the food, right? But only the food that I have tasted. Understand? My body wasn't craving for the food that I didn't taste before. Those unknown tastes, right? Out there. I wasn't craving for some African food. I wasn't craving for some Filipino food. I wasn't craving for some other food that I haven't tasted. I was craving for French fries, McDonald's, Burger Kings, and rice, and those food that I have tasted. So, what that made me to realize is the people, they only have the want, and have the craving for the ones they only tasted. You know what I'm saying? They don't have a crave for the ones they haven't tasted. They might want to try a little bit, but they don't have that crave, you know? Especially when my body was fasting, when my body thought that I need food, when I thought that I need to eat, I was only craving for the ones that I had tasted before. But, folks, likewise, in the spiritual world, the problem that we face is that a lot of people are not craving God. Understand? A lot of people are not craving for the Word of God. A lot of people are not finding the need to live the right spiritual life. And there's a reason. It's not because it's boring. It's not because, it's too much time. It's not because it conflicts with my work. It's not because of all those reasons that you think that are reasons. But it's because you haven't tasted that world. That's why you're not craving that. You know how the pastors and the missionaries would preach sermon and tell them, you need to live by faith. And this world is the most comfortable place. and there can only be peace in here, nowhere else. I don't think so, right? I don't find peace here. I find peace in my bedroom, when I'm lying down and sleeping and snoring, doing whatever I want to do. In my house, when I'm playing games, right? That's where I find peace, not here. Folks, that is only because you haven't tasted that world that the Bible is talking about, that the Word of God is talking about. When my wife said the tacos in Mexico is really, really good, I didn't trust her. And I was thinking, because everyone's appetites are different, Everyone's appetites are different. What might have been good to you might not be good to me. So I didn't pay much attention to what she was saying. And I didn't have the desire to eat what she was talking about. But once I have tasted, not the real one from Mexico City, but closer, taco in Mexico, I was, having the idea that, maybe that tastes really, really good. Because the one that I've tasted in Monterey, it tastes so good. So I started to have the want to taste the taco. Likewise, folks, Satan had made our hearts to be dull in having the wants to taste the Word of God and the Word of God. It only made us to be very advanced in tasting the things of this world and flesh. Let's look at a verse in the Bible, New Testament, John, chapter 4. It's in the New Testament, John, chapter 4. Verse 3. He left Judea and departed again into Galilee, and he must needs go through Samaria. Then cometh he to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near to the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Now Jacob's well was there. Jesus therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well. And it was about the 6th hour. There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Jesus said unto her, Give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Then said the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. Jesus answered and said unto her, If thou knewest the gift of God, and who it is that said to thee, Give me to drink, thou wouldst have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. Let's read up to verse 10 for now. Folks, when Jesus is willing to go to Galilee from Judea, he found the need to go through Samaria. What is it? He must. What? He must have to go to Samaria. Because Jesus wanted to meet a lady there. A lady who is thirsty. A lady who is willing to quench her thirst by the waters, but continually falls back, being thirsty again and again and again. Jesus found the need to go to her, to give her something that she hadn't tasted in her life before, to give her a taste that would remain inside of her all the time, to give her the taste that would fill her with joy and thankfulness and happiness in her. So Jesus had to go there. So Jesus was waiting for this woman at the well. And this woman came, and Jesus asked her a question, asked her a favor. Give me to drink. Give me water. And she was saying, Jesus, sir, aren't you a Jew? Jews don't speak with Samaritans because Jews are a pure bloodline of Abraham. But Samaritans, they're part of Israel, but they are the people who have been mixed with the Gentiles. When Samaria was conquered by Assyrians, they had taken a lot of Israelites to their countries and had placed their own people to Samaria. So, very naturally, people were marrying each other, and the descendants were all mixed. So, when the Jews face each other with Samaritans, they despise those people. You're not the pure bloodline. I don't know if I should compare it this way, but amongst the dogs, they're pure breed, right? Right? They're expensive or cheap? Expensive. They're expensive, right? The pure ones. But the ones that are mixed, are they expensive or cheap? Do you buy those? No, right? In Korea, they are called dongge. What is it? Dongge. And, I think it's universal, but dong sounds like something in English too, right? Dongge, right? Dong dog. They're useless. They're nothing. So that's how the Jews were considering the Samaritans. So she was very surprised and shocked. Why are you talking to me? Is there any need for you to talk to me? You shouldn't talk to me. Other people don't talk to me. I'm very surprised that you're talking to me. And she was very astonished and very questioned. But verse 10, Jesus answered and said unto her, If thou knewest the gift of God, and who it is that says to thee, Give me to drink, thou wouldst have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. Folks, if we observe verse 10 carefully, if this woman can have the living water, right? Right? Is that right? This woman can have living water only when she knows. When she knows who it is that she's speaking with, and when she knows the gift of God. When she knows, then she can have the living water. When she knows, then she will ask for the living water. When she knows, then she will beg for the living water. But what is her attitude right now? Why are you talking to me, stranger? I have no relationship with you. I have no business with you. Why are you talking to me right now? That is her attitude. Why? Because she doesn't know. Because she doesn't know. She never thought that there would be a living water. If she knew, she would have searched for it. And when she searched for it, then she would have met Jesus. But she didn't know that such water exists. That's why, folks, she was only living the life of continually coming to the well and drawing the water over and over and over again. You draw the water. Now I'll be quenched from my thirst. And you drink. And sometime today, these 2 bottles of water will run out, right? Very quickly. Likewise, the water that she drew from the well runs out. And she's thirsty again. I have to go get the water again. And she goes and draws the water. And she comes back. But it runs out again. That she is only tame to that life. Understand? She thought that is the best thing she can do in quenching her thirst. And she doesn't have the desire and want to ask for the living water. Why? Because she doesn't know. She doesn't know that the living water exists. And she doesn't know who can give the living water. And she doesn't know what the gift of God is. And so Jesus is saying, if you knew, then you would have asked for it. And you would have gotten it. Folks, the reason why people don't have joy, the reason why people don't have peace, the reason why people don't have thankfulness and happiness inside of their heart isn't because it doesn't exist. Isn't because it's not given. It's willing to be given unto us. But it's just that people don't pay attention to who has those. You know what I'm saying? Who has those? A lot of people are focusing on the wrong aspects. Games. How many of you are addicted to computer games and be honest now and tell your parents? Raise your hand. How many of you? Yes. What kind of games? What is it? Almost all the Korean teenagers were addicted to StarCraft. Yeah? Have you heard of StarCraft? Yeah. Those are more addictive than drugs, right? Like people's eyes are like red and they didn't sleep for 1 week. They play. And they think they have, they themselves are the jerks and, like those characters in the game. So, a lot of people think that joy is in StarCraft or other games. I don't think so. I'm into Diablo. Well, then maybe that game. How many of you are addicted to food? Raise your hand. Like after you eat, only thing you can think is what can I eat next? And then you eat it. What about next? Right? Right? By the time you see lunch, you go, what's for dinner now? Right? So a lot of people willing to find joy in food. And a lot of people are trying to find joy in sports. How many of you are addicted to sports? Sports, right? What kind of sports? Basketball or soccer? Soccer. I'm very embarrassed to say this, but when I was a brother in San Jose, meaning of my life was playing basketball. It should have been something else, right? As all of you know, who grew up in church and have attended gospel class many, many times, right? I thought that basketball was the most funnest thing. I would listen to pastor's sermon and then go, today who came to service? 5? We need one more to play basketball after the sermon. What should be the matchup? Him, me, and... And I'm already playing basketball during the sermon, right? Many people are looking for the joy and the happiness and satisfaction on wrong aspects. But I can tell you this, do you find satisfaction? Are you happy? There's a reason why StarCraft 2 is coming out, right? Because StarCraft 1 wasn't satisfaction. It wasn't satisfied, right? People, they played for a long time, but they were tired of it, right? So they found the need to come with StarCraft 2. And someone is very excited to hear that. StarCraft 2. 1, it kind of, the joy and, happiness kind of diminished, but 2 will be different. Because with all new graphics, all new storyline, 2 will be different. No. When I was young, in 1991, Street Fighter 2 was the best. Some of you might not know what Street Fighter is, but long time ago, once upon a time, it was the most fun game, I would go to arcade because I don't have that much of money. I would always watch people playing Street Fighter 2. And it was really, really good. And by that time, my uncle had bought me Super Nintendo. And some of you might know, what is Super Nintendo? Huh? Huh? But there was something called an old device called Super Nintendo. And I heard the news that Street Fighter 2 is coming out on Super Nintendo. I heard that in May or so, when it's supposed to be released in July. And I was thinking, how can I get that game, you know? And I thought, you know how people have a lot of games, right, for their game machine. But I thought that if I can have Street Fighter 2, that's all I need in my life. So I was praying to God. Church never taught you to pray for Street Fighter 2, right? Pray for your needs. Give me Street Fighter 2. pray for your need. Please, God, please give me StarCraft. Right? God, how come you're not listening to my prayer? I'm upset. And you go buy your own StarCraft, right? Anyway, I was praying for Street Fighter 2. Dear God, please give me Street Fighter 2. But it doesn't seem like God was listening to me. So, you know, I went to the store, and it wasn't a big store like today. Back in those days, you know, like small stores survived. So I went and I asked the owner, Street Fighter 2 is coming out in July, right? Yes, it's coming out. You want to buy one? Yeah, of course I want to buy one. Will you reserve one for me? You know, there's a lot of, you know, great demand, so I can't reserve it for you for a long time, but maybe I can just hold it for you for 24 hours on the release date. Really? Yes. Thank you. So I was kind of, you know, figuring out how I can buy Street Fighter 2. But, you know, I just couldn't get it. I asked my mom, can you get me Street Fighter 2? And as all of you know, there's no parents who is willing to buy the games for you, right? Oh, really? Okay. No one buys you a game like that, right? So, it was the D-Day. Tomorrow is a release date. And I couldn't go to sleep until 1 a.m. Oh, what should I do? What should I do? If 24 hours passes by, then that game, my dream will be gone. So I was thinking, I should write a letter to my parents, even though they live right next door to me. I should write a letter to them. It was the first time in my life that I have written a letter to my parents. Dear parents, from your beloved son. And I very logically, I told them, if you go to arcade, playing once will cost you 25 cents. And if you play like a certain amount of time in 6 months, and then it's like a lot of money that you're wasting. But if you get, I know, but it's the one-time big, you know, at the time was $73 or $76. So I was saying, you know, even though it may be a lot of amount now, but if you think about it, the long run, then you're saving much, much more money. And I would say, you know, and this is the only time I would ask you for something like this, and this would make me really, really happy. And if I'm happy, you're happy, and if you're happy, then whole family is happy. And amen. And I wrote the letter, and I placed it right in front of my parents' bedroom door, and I went back to sleep. I usually wake up late, but that day, you know, I was curious, you know. And I woke up at 4:30 in the morning, or 5 in the morning. So, you know, when people are nervous, where do they go? Restroom, right? Restroom to do their business, right? So I woke up and opened the door, and I saw my parents discussing about something. What do you think they're discussing about? The happiness of the family, right? So, pursuit of happiness. So, I went to the restroom, and I was so nervous I forgot the purpose why I went to the restroom. So, I spent about 10 minutes there. Oh man, very embarrassing. I shouldn't have come out here. But you know, I can't stay in the bathroom for like 1 hour, right? I flushed the toilet and went back to my room, and then I realized, I forgot to do what I purposed to go for, right? And then I was like, but my parents are still out there, I can't go back out. I had to wait. And suddenly I have seen my parents going to work. And then my mom gave me that look. I still can't forget that. That I don't know how to describe it in words. Just look in my eyes, okay? That look. She's been rejecting me for 2 months. But now, she said, here's the money. And I was like, thank you. I don't care now about anything. I have the money. I went to the store and I gave him the money. Like, give me the game. He gave me the game. I was like, this holy precious game. And I hid it so no one steals it from me. At the time, it was a great demand. Right now, there's a lot of supplies, so a lot of people. I read in the newspaper that iPhone, have you heard of iPhone? How many of you have iPhone? I have my phone. So, we don't have, people were standing in lines, right? Even the mayor of Philadelphia was standing in line for that phone. Like, that was the same thing with Street Fighter 2 at that time. So, I brought it to my home. And because it ran out so quickly, people had to wait for another month to get it. And I lived in an apartment, like 7 stories high. So, there's a lot of kids around my age. Can I play Street Fighter 2? Oh, okay, but just for once. And I would have them sit. And, to prove something to my parents that this was a great idea, I had the kids to pay me maybe 15 cents per game or so. If you go to the arcade, it's 25 cents. I'm giving you discount, 50% discount. So, some kids paid, and, that didn't work out so well. So I had to. Anyway, I would always play, even though I lose or win, and, the other kids would come and play. It was really, really fun. So fun that my thumbs went numb. And days and nights, and I would play, hiding underneath the blanket and playing. And, my parents said, wow, you're so weak these days. I'm studying so hard. Right? And then you play Street Fighter 2. And then the parents would go to work, bye, I'm going to school. And then you take a tour around your house and go back to your house. And then, play the game again. Just for 1 month. Just for 1 month. That joy, that happiness have been gone after a month. And then I heard the news that Super Street Fighter is coming out. Super Street Fighter 2. And then I heard Turbo is coming out. And then 3 is coming out. And I had a heart to want those, 3 will be different. Turbo will be different. You have that heart, right? It's like same thing as you go to McDonald's, you choose, which set do you like, you wonder, what should I get? What would be the best for me? You choose number 6, and after you regret, I should have chosen number 3. Right? Next time you come, you choose number 3. What was I thinking? Number 2, right? You take a whole tour and realize, I should go to Burger King. And you go to Burger King and do the same thing, right? And then Carl's Jr., and then go to different places. Folks, there's no satisfaction in the things of this world. There's no true taste that would satisfy your soul and spirit. Folks, when I say, I am saved, I go to heaven, that means I am referring to the spirit, not this flesh, right? This flesh will remain here. This flesh will vanish. So when I say I go to heaven, it is referring to the flesh, the soul. But Satan had deceived people to believe and to live their life and investing on this flesh, making them to believe that you are this, you're this. You're so pretty. I'm so pretty, but your heart is ugly, right? Then are you pretty or ugly? Pretty ugly, right? You're really ugly, right? But we don't consider our inner heart to be us, right? You only focus on outer parts. Every morning you wake up, you look in the mirror. What do? Right? You fix up your face, and how can I hide these? And you always try to hide things, right? Woman, cosmetics, why do they need? It's like a mask. right? That's why when there's a slang that if you want to marry a woman, before you marry her, visit her house in the morning, early morning, and then see her face once, and then decide. Because that face is the real face that you're going to have to face all entire life. So, cosmetic woman, great for cosmetics. Why? To cover their face. And I tell my wife, stop putting cosmetics, stop putting makeups on. She's like, why? No, you're saying there's no need. No. Yeah. And I'll tell her, even though you don't put it on, you're always beautiful, so you don't need to put it on, right? Is that the true intention? Or financially? People only care about their outer parts, right? I want to have fun. Yeah. What should we do? Have you ever met anyone? Yeah, let's read Bible. Huh? You know what? Let's do something. What? Let's go to church and listen to sermon. Yeah. Have you ever met anyone like that? Huh? Let's do something special. What? Let's have fellowship. No. Special, fun, interesting, enjoy. All those things are connected with what? The world, right? With the flesh. Folks, don't try to be beautiful outside. You have to be beautiful inside. And some people might think, I have chance. But, no, all of you are fine. All of you are fine. It's just that some people, that are living in far, far away country, right? But, we need to focus on our spirit. But it is Satan that had blinded us from seeing what is important and what really matters. Folks, there are the world of God and the world of the Spirit. It truly exists. It's just that people don't have the eyes to see it. They're not tamed to it. Just because you haven't tasted it, just because you haven't seen it, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Right? Right? Just like I told you, right? This was my testimony about the Mexican taco. You can get testimony out of tacos, okay? So you have to pay attention to everything that occurs in your life. If you think about God, God reveals many things to you. So folks, if my wife had seen that world, the taco world, but I haven't, right? So even though my wife is trying to explain to me, how can you explain the taste? Right? Can you explain the taste? It's bitter, they even have a sauce called sweet and sour. Two things combined, sweet and sour and bitter, and if you mix three, then you get confused. What does that taste like then, right? So sweet, sour, bitter, what else? Salty, what else? Spicy. It tastes, when you first taste, it's sweet, and then it's bitter, and then it's sour, and then it's salty, and then it's spicy. Yeah, right. Right? There's no such taste. Folks, when my wife was talking about that world of taco, because I haven't tasted it. First, I didn't have the want to taste it. Second, I didn't, consider her. I took light of it, what she was talking about. And third, I despised her for continually talking about the things that I didn't consider to be important. But when I had tasted that, I realized what she was saying is true. Folks, just because you haven't tasted the peace, you haven't tasted the joy, and you haven't tasted that, happiness in the Word of God, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I'm assuming that most of you been going to church for a long time, right? Is that right? Raise your hand if you came to our church for the first time. First time, does that mean I came here, I already came to retreat twice, so I came twice. No. First year, first there. Okay. 2 years. 3 years. 4 years. 5 years. 6 years. 7 years. Okay. So, 10 years. Oh, I'm 20, Pastor. I've been here since I was born. Folks, there's the world that you need to taste. A lot of people come here and listen to the word, and the mistake the biggest mistake they make is thinking that they know already. What is it? They know already. Once you think you know already, then your ears are closed automatically, and you just can't hear it anymore because you know already, right? Like, let's say the teacher's out here, I'm out here writing 1 plus 1 is 2. I'm teaching you 1 plus 1 is 2, guys. 1 plus 1 is 2. Then those of you who think they know 1 plus 1 is 2, what would they do? Huh? Sleep, right? But those people who didn't know 1 plus 1 is 2, they go, oh, wow. I thought 1 plus 1 is 1, right? How does 1 plus 1 going to, oh, right? So when we talk about this person, then put your position as that person. When we talk about this heart, then believe that that is your heart, okay? Alright? But this word is talking about us, not other people. Oh, I went through that stage. No, we always have to stand in front of God with empty heart. That's when the blessing of God can fill my heart. Many people hear the gospel, but they truly can't come to the true faith. And that is only because they're bounded to knowledge only. Oh, I know already. I've been to gospel class for 5 years. And it seems like that pastor's been talking about the same thing for 3 years. Gosh, I want to hear something new. Something more fun and funny. Make me laugh. This is not circus now, is it? Is this circus? I'll be a clown and you guys would laugh. And after the end of the retreat, oh, that gospel class was so fun. Did you receive salvation? No. What's the purpose then? Right? So please open your heart and have the heart to now believe what the word of God is saying. And you don't have to have faith. You don't try to make faith. When you listen, then you will have faith. Yesterday, our guest speaker, pastor, as he was preaching the word, he talked about the uniqueness of his family, right? Right? So if he says something that is like God, right? That there be light. And there has to be light, right? So he told his younger brother, hey, go receive salvation. Yes. And then he went to the retreat and received salvation. And then in the second younger sibling, he told him, I want you to come to the retreat. And he's working with, yes. And he came to the retreat. I want you to receive salvation. What is salvation? If you sit down here, then they will give it to you. And so he was sent to the gospel class. If you sit here, they will give it to you. Okay. So he was sitting down asking for something to be given. And thankfully, he received salvation. And his second younger sibling's wife, they just recently got married. And she's a Buddhist. You know? She believes in different religion. But this pastor said, you have to receive salvation. And then, even that, sister-in-law to the pastor, because she heard from her mother-in-law about the uniqueness of the family that she has to listen to the pastor. She went to the retreat and received salvation. Folks, all you need to do is just listen, and then salvation will be given unto us. Okay? Alright? So for this 1 week, I want you to pay attention. Because the words that we speak from the Bible, because we haven't experienced it, we haven't experienced the word of faith, we haven't experienced the joy of the promise and the true gospel and all of that. Don't just close your heart to it, but have an open mind. Yeah, maybe that exists. Yeah, maybe. And have the heart to listen, because after you listen, you will have faith in your heart. Okay? Understand? I was thinking, why can't people have faith? And I realized one thing, because they're not listening. So, if you listen in this gospel class, all of you will have faith. Folks, this earth is spinning. What is it? is spinning. And the spinning speed is 1,043 miles per hour. That's how fast this Earth is spinning. Long time ago, a pastor he died and he went to heaven. And at the same time, a taxi driver also died and went to heaven. But God gave much, much more prize to the taxi driver. So pastor was really upset. Dear God, I lived all my life devoting the gospel and devoting in preaching gospel to other people, leading those souls to you. But why is it that you give much, much more prize to this taxi driver? And God told him an answer. Because this taxi driver led much, much more souls than you did. God, how can a taxi driver do that much than me? And he said, every time he drove, he made the customers to pray to God. Dear God, let me live. Dear God, please. This taxi driver drove so fast. Everyone who got inside of a taxi started to call out the name of God and believe God. God! And then gave thankfulness to God when they arrived to the destination. Thank you, God. Folks, when you drive a car going 100 miles per hour, 120 miles per hour, it's really, really fast, right? It's really, really fast. People just can't picture how fast this Earth is spinning. 1,043 miles per hour. Very fast, right? Are you feeling any dizziness here? Oh, I'm dizzy. Pastor, now that I heard from you, I'm dizzy. Oh, I need to lie down. I need to go to sleep. No, okay? No. And as the Earth is spinning with 1,043 miles per hour, it's circling around the sun with 66,975 miles per hour. How much? 66,795 miles per hour. You know, when I translate side by side, pastor would always talk about numbers, and I would hate that. Not those small numbers, but big numbers, right? Blah, 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 point, blah, blah, blah. And then it's so quick that how can you translate every single thing? Huh? So I would always, make it up. Not always. Don't have distrust of the translation. Well, not always, but most of the time I would come close to it, but I really couldn't, because I'm not that smart, I couldn't really go near being exactly the same. But what I'm appreciating when I preach in English is that I can get the number right. So Earth is circling around the sun with the speed of 66,975 miles per hour. That's how fast the Earth is spinning. Not only is spinning itself, it's spinning around the sun that way. But people don't feel that, right? Right? People don't feel that. Folks, just because you don't feel it, do you distrust in the number that I gave you? Do you distrust the fact that we are circling around the sun? No one, right? No one. We believe that. Folks, somehow people believe such matters. Like we are circling around the sun, we are spinning, and the earth is kind of lean, and there's gravity. With all those things, even though you are not the one who came to that conclusion, and even though you're not the one who went through those experiments, just by hearing it, very naturally you accept it, right? You accept it. But strangely, when we talk about God, talk about who? When we talk about God, when we talk about the Bible, when we talk about the world of the Spirit, then people start to have this. People don't accept it in their heart. They always find reasons not to believe. And another reason is, it's too hot. No connection whatsoever. It's too hot right now. What is co-pastor talking about? Man, when is the break? Right? They somehow find something not to believe the word and not to listen to the word. And who is causing that? Who is causing that? Satan is causing that. Satan is causing that, folks. So, when you're in the gospel class, beginning of the gospel class time, I would like to share the word of how Satan is working in our minds and in our hearts to deceive us, to make us to head towards destruction. And when you listen to that, I want you to please listen with care and listen with open mind and clear mind. You go falling asleep, and they go, Satan, what? What did he say? There's no replay, so I want you to get some rest before and then come to listen to the word. So, folks, there's a world that even though we haven't come to experiments, and even though we haven't tested it, and even though we haven't done anything, it exists, right? In 1492, what had been discovered? America had been discovered, right? By who? Christopher Columbus, right? What country is he from? What country? He is Italian. Not that many people know that, right? So every time I say that, I'm very proud. Yeah, at least I know something about history that other people don't really know. He's Italian. Folks, at that time, all the people thought that when you travel far, far end, you would drop and die. Why? Why, folks? Because when you look at the ocean, is it like, circle, or does it have a panel like at the end that says to be continued or anything? Or it just is flat, right? Flat, right? Just like the Niagara Falls, at the end you don't know what's out there, you just see a flat thing, and because of a lot of steam coming out and water splashing, making your vision to be blurry. But at the end you drop, right? That's how people were thinking about the world. The earth is flat. So when you go out, you will drop, you will die. But Christopher Columbus was the only person who knew that the world was round. So a lot of people were taking the far route to go to India, to go to east, to trade. So he was thinking, because the earth is round, if I take west now, not south, east, if I take west, if I go towards that direction, then I will meet India. That's what he was believing in. And that belief was totally different from what other people were thinking at that time. So he went to his king, but of course he had been rejected. He had learned how to sail in Portugal. And there he was growing in that dream to travel to that west, over there. But no one was listening to him. So eventually he had gone to Spain, and he had asked the Queen of Spain, to lend him money, ship, and men to travel that direction and find a better route. But also that had been rejected for a long time. But one time the Queen had agreed and said, you can go. And what is the name of the ship? What is it? What is the name of the ship? What is it? What? Mayflower? I forgot too, so I'm asking you. What is the name of the ship? Santa Maria. Santa Maria. Is that right? Yeah. If she says it's right, then it's right. So, he was on that ship and was traveling. And the crew members, all of them were disappointed and upset. Why? Because they've been out on the ocean for a long time, but nothing appeared. Nothing appeared. So they were really, really upset. Maybe Christopher Columbus is wrong. Maybe his idea is totally trash. Maybe there's nothing out there. Maybe we will fall dead. So people were really, really, anxious in their hearts and frustrated. And Christopher Columbus also was frustrated in his heart. Why? Because people are not believing in him. How difficult is it? It is so difficult to do anything with the people who doesn't believe you, who doesn't have the same goal and vision as you do. But eventually he had landed in America. And then he went back to Spain and told them and reported. And that's when all the people start to believe that the land, you can travel that direction, that earth is round. Folks, And by that, Spain had gotten a lot of riches by discovering those lands and conquering those lands and getting a lot of natural resources. Folks, there are two kinds of people always, right? A person who can see beyond their eyes. A person who is only living in the life of being limited to what they see. But like the people, always the great people are the ones who go beyond their thoughts, beyond their eyes. There is something more to it. There is something better out there. Even though people cannot see that, there's something better out there. So folks, those people who sees that, they don't dwell in their situation. They don't dwell in their positions. They march. They go. Right? So that's when they discovered. Likewise, folks, it is really important that you know that there's a power in this world. A lot of people have knowledge. A lot of people have study the Bible. But one thing they lack is believing that there's power in this word. Believing that there's power in this word. Folks, so another time, there was in 1892, who was the president at the time of America? Andrew? Thomas Jefferson. Andrew Johnson, right? So Andrew Johnson, at the time, what they had done was they made, he and the Secretary of Treasury, both, only two of them, made a contract and had purchased the state of Alaska from Russia with $7.2 million at the time. So Russia thought, this useless land, this, no one lived there, and, it's kind of away from Russia's mainland. So they were thinking, well, we can't even manage this piece of land, so why don't we just get rid of it? We're getting $7.2 million. So they sold Alaska, and America had bought it. At the time, the senators, and the House of Representatives, they were really, really upset. They called on to Andrew Johnson, come here. And the president came. And they asked, why did you buy Alaska? Why did you buy Alaska, that wasteland? Why did you buy it? If you needed ice, why don't you just break the ice from Mississippi River and fill it in your house? $7.2 million is too much for an ice box. That's what people were thinking. Totally useless. The land that only have ice. But President Andrew Johnson said, you will know that land is worth more than $7.2 million. I don't think so, President. Well, I think so. And they both have made a joint observation team. And when they sent out the team to Alaska, they were really, really shocked. Why? Because of pure gold they found, because of the petroleum they found, because of those fish, so many fish, and because of those so many trees they found, so many natural sources they have found. Those are worth much more than $7.2 million. So at the time, the whole newspaper had written articles saying America had purchased all those wonderful land for only $7.2 million or so. And at the time when Russia had discovered what they sold was totally the best land they got, they were really, really regretting. And the House of Representatives and the Senate, they went to the president and asked for apology. We were wrong. We were not able to see what was hidden underneath. Folks, right now that Alaska is really, really critical for America's defense. Is that right? Yes. They have established many military bases to protect this mainland. And not only that, as we talked about, Alaska has many, many resources hidden underneath. But the people who doesn't have the eyes to see that cannot use those. Even though there's so many treasure hidden inside, it has no effect onto the people who doesn't have the eyes to see that. Likewise, let's look for a verse in the Bible. Matthew. Chapter 13. Verse 44. Matthew chapter 13 verse 44. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto treasure hid in a field, in the which when a man has found, he hideth, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he has, and buyeth that field. Folks, yesterday the main guest speaker also had preached briefly about this verse. There was a man who had found the treasure hidden inside the field. He was so happy and joyful. So he had hidden that treasure in that land. And when he takes out the treasure, then that cannot be his, right? University of Mahanaim University in New York. What they do have to do is in order for them to get the approval from the bank, they need to do a survey on that land. And what survey is, they need to go through the list of the owners who had owned that land for 200 years. How many years? 200 years. Who cares about those people, right? But America is very picky about that, right? So, and they have to go through that line, and they have to do examinations on that land, observations on that land. Why? Because after time passes by, and if a person's treasure was hidden in that land, even though you purchased it, it cannot be yours. Understand what I'm saying? It cannot be yours. If you haven't purchased, that has to go to that person. So this person, I found it, so it's mine. It can't be that way. So he had hidden it, and then he had to buy it. Buy the land. Then it will become his. So this person went out, and he what the word is saying, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he has and buyeth that field. Does he buy with heart of not wanting to sell all his things, right? Oh man, I love this table. I love this piano. I love my car. Does he fall into conflict, or does he really have second thoughts of selling his stuff? Or is he joyful in selling it? Joyful. What? Joyful. What is it? He's very joyful in selling all his possessions. Why? Because he has found the treasure. Because he knows that it will worth more. Because he knows that selling is actually profiting. So he doesn't feel sad or anything. He's joyful in selling all the things to buy that land, folks. A lot of people, folks. So this is a parable that Jesus said in concerning buying heaven. You first need to find the treasure. Wow, that peace, that thankfulness, that happiness, that joy inside this Word of God. That power in this salvation. If you know that for clearly, if you see that clearly, folks, then you will not hesitate to sell your thoughts. You will not hesitate to sell your rights. You will not hesitate to sell your experiences. You will not hesitate to sell your interests. You will sell everything that you have. Why? Why? Because of that treasure that you have found. Folks, so we are going to talk about the treasure from the Bible this week. So when you listen to a word, I want you to sell those things. Ah, I'm not, I don't, this is too hot. Even that thought, sell it. Ah, I want to do something. Even that thought, sell it. I don't like that. Even those, distrust or complaintful hearts, sell all those things that you have. Then you'll find the treasure. You will be able to get that treasure in your heart, folks. Understand? Understand? So, should you buy Alaska or not? Should you buy Alaska or not? Yeah? What would happen? Think about it. What would happen if Alaska wasn't purchased? If it was Soviet Union's, if it was Russia's land, what would have happened? Huh? More money will be spent, right? More money, right? Because Russia's right there, right? Well, at that time was really enemy, right? Cold time, right? So, folks, if you think about it, purchasing that land was the best thing that he could have ever done for America. Likewise, folks, when you come to the Word of God and when you listen to the Word of God, please sow your thoughts away. Satan's saying, invest in your thoughts, invest in your rights, invest in your, standards, experiences. Those are not the ones to invest in. Those are the ones that you need to sell. Okay? Put it on sale now. Set for sale. Okay? And then have a heart to buy the things inside of this word. And Jesus Christ clearly said, come and buy the water, but buy it without price. Buy it without price. The treasures inside the Word of God and treasures of heaven can be purchased without a price, by grace. So folks, when you listen to the Word, please sell your thoughts, sell your experiences, sell your standards, and sell all those things. For you will find something much, much more precious. And if you, one by one, if you discover how precious that is, you will be joyful. Right? You will be joyful. You wouldn't sell it because the people told you to sell it. You sell it on your own. Why? Because if you discover how precious that treasure is, if you find the treasure. Let's take about 5 minutes of break, and then we'll meet again. We're supposed to take a break at 11 o'clock, right? Let's take about 5 minutes break to go to the restroom and come back. But because they're having service, please be quiet and just go to the restroom and please do hurry back.